So I'm talking with the band Big Blitz today, a local Pittsburgh band, trio. Their genre of music, I've seen it defined in a lot of different ways, everything from jazz fusion to noise jazz to jazztronica, and I'm a big fan of you guys, so I don't know, that would be my first question for you guys, is how would you define what genre and the music that you guys play?
Well, we call it noise jazz, but I guess in its simplest form, it's a mixture of rock, dance, and jazz.
Totally. Also, forgot to introduce you guys individually if you guys want to do that yourselves, your names and, what you guys do, what you play in the band.
Yeah. Okay, so Mason and I are over here at our house. We're brothers. I'm Lucas, and Lucas and Mason Ciesielski. and we both play saxophone,
tenor and baritone.
Yeah, tenor and baritone. We both play in the group. And Mason runs a lot of our electronic instruments, crazy synthesizer thing. And Nick, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. I'm Nick Grabigel. I play drums.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So I also just have a quick question that's less about the band and more just about how you guys are doing, because I know that it's crazy, and I want to thank you guys for taking the time out, because it is a wild time right now. So it's more just a question: how you guys are doing? Are you guys holding up okay?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good over here. Practicing a lot, keeping busy with that. That's been keeping me sane.
Yeah, I'm Lucas over here. I'm in my second year in college right now. And so in music school, I go to Youngstown State over in Ohio. And so I've been, getting up and doing my online music performance classes, which sounds kind of impossible. But I've been making the most of it, practicing a lot, hours every day.
Yeah, and I guess for me, this is Mason. I've been kind of doing my online high school classes, which they're a little bit weird. It's hard to get used to them, and the teachers are really panicked. But other than that, it's gone pretty smoothly. And in my free time, just messing with my synths and stuff, making some beats.
Yeah, we can't actually practice together, so we've been doing a lot of separate stuff, within our style, which is stuff that we're not exactly used to doing. Cool.
Yeah, totally. That was actually a question I was going to have, is I feel like there's two trains of thought right now in self-isolation, one of them being just kind of survival mode and the other one being more of a creative incubator period. And I was wondering, which one do you feel that you guys are leaning more towards at this point? Is it helpful in your creative, to get the creative juices flowing?
Yeah, I think it's just a really good time to figure out what we each want to take with the band. We can each figure out certain ideas or certain techniques that we want to introduce into the band at a later date. I know we're working with different bass sounds and higher lead sounds and stuff on my synth to spice up the backgrounds, I guess. And I guess it's really good for personal stuff, because you can exactly say, this is what I want to add to the band after this is all going to be over. It's nice.
We have a lot of time to keep bringing our ideas together, and our whole kind of function as a band has completely changed right now, because we're so used to being centered on live performance, and now we're getting caught up with a lot of stuff on social media, trying to ration out who's going to post when, and getting a lot of stuff settled with like artwork for the band and getting recordings ready so we can really hit it hard when we get back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys, because I've seen that you guys have been doing like some social media stuff. Have you guys felt that that's been helpful and kind of connective in this time, or do you feel like it's, you know, kind of means to an end and feels ingenuine right now?
I don't know. I mean, I think we've always been trying to really get into the whole social media thing before, and we've been like, all right, we're going to post more often this week, and then sometimes it kind of happens and then kind of falls off. But this has really helped with that because we have no other way to kind of get ourselves out there and perform right now because we're in separate houses right now, so we can't do any like live streams or anything like that. We can do them separately apart, but we can't do them as like the three of us as Big Blitz together. So yeah, I guess it's helped us kind of get ourselves out there still and still communicate with everybody and let them know, hey, we're still here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because you're saying that it's different now because you guys could rehearse with each other prior to this, but you guys, if I'm right, are during the school year in different places.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was wondering how that works and how you guys make that function within the band, with the band members being in different places for a good chunk of the year.
Yeah. So that's definitely with kind of this transition because it's kind of familiar in a way. So the way we normally do it is during the year we all work pretty hard in school, really hard, and we just really want that to be top priority, and we treat the band more. But we always kind of treat it like it's our job, and we do get well, right now we don't, but in a good situation we get a pretty steady income that's kind of comparable to what we could get working, I don't know, somewhere else. And so when we go to school, we just cut back on the gigs a lot and kind of do. I know people who do similar things with their jobs when they work really hard in the summer and then try to get a more relaxed schedule during the school year. So it's basically that. And then as far as rehearsals go, some of our songs that we play live now, we've been playing for like years. We still sometimes play the first song we really made together. It's called Crab Cakes, and we play that in sets all the time. And so when you get something like that, you can practice it to clean it up, but it's just kind of like under our fingers and in our drumsticks or whatever you say for Nick.
Yeah. And a lot of times whenever we show up to gigs, we won't even have time to like have a rehearsal, so we'll just come in and say, well, I hope we all still remember the songs. Yeah.
But that comes from a lot of preparation early on, and over the summer is when we usually hit it really hard, practicing and playing just pretty constantly each week.
Yeah, definitely. And when you do, because I know some of the gigs that you've done, or at least I was reading about how like you guys started out just kind of like getting together, playing outside, playing on the streets, and then you've played at venues like Mr. Smalls and also the airport, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was wondering what the difference, like if the venue for you guys influences your performance, if you prefer any to other ones, if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, definitely. It like whenever we'll play at the airport, it's super stripped down, just saxes and like minimal amount of drums. It has to go through security and all that. And we have to play super quiet. but then at shows like at Mr. Small's or places like that, we can kind of go all out. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't know. I don't really prefer one over the other. I think each has their own. I don't know. Each has its things that makes it enjoyable, and playing quiet is a lot harder, in my opinion, than playing really loud, especially with, I guess, the drums, which are a pretty naturally loud instrument. But I don't know. There's challenges that come with each kind of performance, and I don't know. It's nice to have a challenge.
Yeah, I know. But personally, you guys might agree to some extent, but I mean, I think we really love doing gigs where we can travel, and we've been really kind of focused on trying to get more of those and expand out. And we really love playing in Pittsburgh, and I think it's kind of always like going to be special. But we're really trying to go to other places. Like we've got friends and kind of like band friends from other bands that know us from Texas, and we got invited over to Syracuse, New York, and even over to Seattle. We were talking about catching a plane over to Seattle for a gig, and that fell through for obvious reasons. And so I think those gigs really are kind of special because it's kind of like you go to a place, you get paid to be there, and you get to experience something that you really can't experience with another kind of job. I think that's really what makes this unique for us.
Yeah, definitely. Is there it's okay if there's not, but do you guys have maybe a favorite performance or a favorite travel gig that you've had, like a memory that really sticks out from any of those?
I think my favorite one was probably Haunt, Texas, which is, it's like an acoustic street band festival. You get all these like brass bands who they all dress up super crazy and they just play on the street. And we got invited last year. Yeah. Last year. That was our first year going down, and
we technically got invited this year too.
Yeah, we got invited this year too, but
they're postponing it.
Yeah, but so we got down there, and it was so awesome. Like we just started playing, and like a whole ton of people just showed up, and they're like, "Oh my God, look at these kids! They're crazy."
And we were feeling the same way because we got to meet all these crazy people who have very, very similar interests to us as far as music goes. And like that's something where that's really cool because sometimes we play at venues like Mr. Small's or some of the larger venues in Pittsburgh, and we you get to meet a lot of like rock groups and maybe like singers, guitar, and occasionally you get to there'll be a horn section with us in the other band. But it's kind of awesome to be in an area where it's like everyone around you plays an instrument that's related to yours in some way, or they know about it enough to talk to you about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Sure.
I know that, actually, I won't talk about that because I don't actually know much about that. I will ask about what you mentioned about the comment of oh man, these crazy kids, because I've seen two of your live performances before, and y'all are really high energy, and you guys keep that stamina up for a long time, and I'm just asking how. It's impressive. What do you guys do?
Lots of practicing and lots of adrenaline.
Yeah.
It's like,
I guess I don't know. I guess that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And also just feeding off the the high energy of the audience. I know it's a lot harder sometimes if you're kind of playing in a place where it's like they're not as interested in what you're doing, and they're kind of not paying attention, and then there's no energy being given back. So it's a lot harder then. But whenever you see people really enjoying themselves and jumping and throwing their hands up and stuff like that, it's easier to get lost in that and not worry about if you're tired or not, or if, I don't know, my arm hurts or something. Because then you kind of come out of the gig feeling real good, and then in like an hour or two, you're like, oh my God, I feel horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you crash really hard.
Yeah. I think a lot of our kind of, like, a lot of the reason that we can go so long and not just die is because all of us just practice a ton on our instruments. And I know Mason and I do a lot of practicing that involves, like, muscle, like, strengthening within our, like, bases for our horns and our lungs. And, if you do that kind of playing for like hours every day, or even like half an hour a day, or whatever time you have, it really starts to help you. And yeah, that's a lot of it for us as far as the saxophone goes. And
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
On that, I was thinking about the audience question. I was going to ask about that. And also a hypothetical, which I don't know if you'd have an answer to, but I've been thinking about COVID. Everybody can't really go out right now. And whenever this ends, do you feel like, I don't know, do you feel like the audiences have the potential to be higher energy, or the performances to be, I don't know, a higher energy than they have been in the past?
I think that's definitely a possibility. I think people have been sitting in their houses for months. It's like, I just want to go out and see a show and just go crazy and have fun, live life again.
Yeah, I know, like, for me, the minute I hear that we're going to get, like, a big show, I know it's just going to be, I'm going to be, like, right in that pocket where it's just like, I'm going to go crazy.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
show.
Yeah.
It's going to be, I feel like once everything starts up again, it's going to be just as good, if not better, than it has been for us and just for everyone in general.
But I feel like things might be a little slow at first as people kind of get used to not being in this situation. But I think it's definitely going to hit a point where, everyone's going to want to perform and everyone's going to want to hear it, just because, you can sit at home and listen to all the recorded music you want to, but that kind of live thing is something that people really love, and it's something that you can't get right now. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. There's definitely a vibe in live music that's hard to replicate, especially right now when we can't go out. And you guys mentioned while you're staying in that you've been practicing and rehearsing a lot. Have you been trying out new techniques? Is there anything new that was in the works before, or is in the works now that you guys are working on in particular?
A couple things in terms of, like, the saxophone department. I recently got a Barry saxophone, so now we have two. So, like, I'm working on playing bass lines more, and playing Barry's tough, and it's kind of kicking my butt. But, yeah, it's working. It's going. It'll be good. Need some time.
Yeah, I think Mason and I are really trying to work on getting good at what the other one is good at. I used to be the only one playing Barry, and I was kind of like the equivalent of a bass guitar in the band for a little bit. And then I was like, yeah, I want to do some melody stuff. And then Mason was like, oh, cool, I want to do bass line stuff. And so now some of our songs are just completely reversed, and something that, like, Mason, didn't even have the instrument to play, like, a year ago or even, like, months ago. We can just whip up. and I've been working on some of the stuff Mason's really good at, just as far as technique. He's really good at circular breathing, which is basically a technique where you can just play notes forever because you're breathing through kind of like this other airway system in your nose, and it's really complicated, but it just lets you do a bunch of crazy fast stuff forever. So I definitely am going to try that. And I'm making some progress. And Nick, you got anything over there?
Yeah, I've been experimenting with different ways to set up my drum set, different combinations of drums and different stick types, different positionings of the cymbals and stuff like that, different tunings on the drums, different styles. I've just been exploring. I guess we just want to put a broad term, exploring.
Yeah. It's on.
Yeah, totally. Am I mistaken? Is circular breathing, is that what allows you to do the move where you're playing like two saxophones at once? Or am I off base there?
It can be.
I hope. Yeah, I hope that'll help me do that because, yeah.
So with circular breathing, you're almost there actually. With the two saxes, both the mouthpieces, just like you have to have a really wide embouchure, mouth positioning to be able to play both of them. But with circular breathing, you have to be able to fill your cheeks with air and just use your cheek muscles to shoot out the air and breathe in through your nose at the same time. So if you could do that, I think you could theoretically with two horns.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely try it once that'd make things a lot easier.
Yeah, it definitely help a lot.
Help a bunch of possibilities.
So, yeah, they're really similar.
Yeah, it's actually a concept that is used in didgeridoo playing, and it's kind of been transferred to the saxophone somehow. Yeah.
Crazy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that also in that realm of exploring and messing around with your sound. I know that other bands in the same genre area sometimes do things or add objects to manipulate their sound. I was wondering if you guys have experimented or explored with any of those techniques now or in the past before.
Oh yeah, so I got a new type of synthesizer. It's still like a kind of normal synthesizer. There are two main types. There's a subtractive type, which uses a filter to get rid of the high end, and then there's this type that's called an additive type, and you take a really simple waveform and you add a whole ton of jagged edges, and it makes it sound real squelchy and stuff.
So this is kind of complicated. Mason basically there's a synthesizer shop in Pittsburgh called Pittsburgh Modular, and he just bought their brand new high-end synth, and now he's been messing with it for the past month.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah. As far as adding new stuff, I've also been working a lot with clarinet, and some flute stuff, and really trying to get that. And maybe that'll be something we'll incorporate in the future. And some of that clarinet stuff is actually featured on one of the big things we're working on with our band is we've got a lot of music that we're not sitting on, but we're just working through trying to release. And yeah, we've got 2 EPs, and we could go into more detail about them if you want, or
I think that'd be great if you want to do that.
Yeah. When do you guys want to kind of explain the concept?
Yeah, sure. I could try that. So the first EP that we recorded actually back in August of last year, that is going to be our electronic EP. So what that is it's going to be all the saxophones and drums and all the effects on the saxophones and synthesizer behind us. So it's going to have all of our electronic stuff that we incorporate in our live shows. And then the next EP that we just recorded back in January is going to be our acoustic EP. So that's just 2 saxophones and drums. No electronics. It's all acoustic. It's natural.
Organic. Yeah, organic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and along, we also have a thing that's in the works for the very near future. And it was actually when we were in the studio over working on that more acoustic EP. We ended up recording everything and having some extra time. And we had about
like an hour?
We had like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
When it came into it, and we were like, we could stop now, or we could do something in these 45 minutes. And so, with our remaining time, we actually whipped up a brand new song on the spot that we are planning to release very shortly. It features some more experimental instrumentation that we don't normally do. And we're really proud of it.
Especially since we wrote it in like 15 or 20 minutes.
We basically wrote it in 15 minutes, did about 3 takes of it, and
that was it.
And that was it. So, yeah. Just going for the raw thing, that thing was probably the rawest song we'll ever play in a studio.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is really cool. And I also think a good place to plug the new song. And, I will let everybody know when that comes out. Is there anything else that you guys want to tell everybody about, if I missed anything, or something you want to add or re-say if I missed it?
Yeah. So we've got a couple shows that are lined up for the future, kind of distant, kind of near, depends on how you think about it. But Mason, you want to tell us?
Yeah, so August 3rd through the 9th, we got invited to play at the Cedar Point 150th year anniversary, and we're going to be like the band in residence for, I think, the whole week, and that would be crazy.
Yeah, so if anyone's planning on, if this is kind of past and it's early August, go over to Cedar Point, you might see us.
Yeah. And we had a show scheduled before the whole quarantine with the Lucky Chops at the Rex Theater, and that got moved to September 20th. So if that's still on, we'll be doing that too.
Yeah. And other than that, we're Big Blitz again. You can find us on social media at Big Blitz Band. And, look us up. Check us out.